So thanks everyone for joining this Canvas Design webinar. I'm Michelle Colbran. I'm an advanced partner at Zoho Network. Today I'm going to show you the power of Canvas designs and how you can use them really to brighten up your business and really make Zoho feel like it was built, just for you. I'm going to show you a range of features and functions. I'm going to show you some tips and some tricks. But I'm also going to talk to you about the execution of the Canvas designs. Now, if you like Canvas designs, and I guarantee you will, I'm going to help you understand what is the best way to manage the setup of them. I've been using Canvas designs in Zoho since they were first launched at the beginning, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. At the beginning of this year, our business signed off on Canvas designs for all of our vertical solutions. That's every module used in the system. Is about 100 modules in total. It took us time and we had a lot to learn, okay? And we kept adapting our design until we actually got it right. I'm going to share with you how to fast track that, to learn about the different styles that you need to consider, based on the module that you're actually working with. I'm also going to give you access to every Canvas design my team and I have built for free. So hopefully today you can leave this session feeling excited, inspired about what you can achieve with Canvas designs in your business. But before we begin, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself as well. I've been in software for about 25 years. I founded SOS in 2016, and when I discovered Zoho One, I really did immediately recognize the power. I've personally never written a line of code. My passion is process engineering, streamlining operations, and creating growth and scalability for businesses. Okay, so today I've got the pleasure of showing you how to create your own style and your own interface. No coding and no graphic design experience is needed. It's just practical thinking and knowledge about your own business. Okay, so let's get started. I'll jump to the agenda. Okay, that's me. So what is Canvas? Okay, we'll jump into that, explain that to you, the benefits of using Canvas, and the different types of Canvas designs, okay, and why you would use the different types of designs. We're going to explore some of the features. I'm going to keep it very, very simple. We can talk about other advanced features. You can reach out to me afterwards, but I really want to give everybody the opportunity who's non-technical here to go away and feel like they can execute this. If you've played around with Canvases up until now and you've aborted it, you couldn't quite get the design right, that's really what I'm hoping you'll take away from today, is knowing how you're going to make it happen. So what's Canvas? This pretty much sums it up. Before Canvas, Zoho focused on functionality, which has helped it become a leading software provider. With Canvas, Zoho combines power and visual appeal, creating software that's both efficient and user-friendly. This approach enhances usability while making the software more engaging and effective. So software, Zoho is powerful. There's a lot that it can do. Okay, but in the past, I've also heard it being called ugly. Okay, it's plain, it's ugly. And this is what Canvas View type changes. Okay, it allows you to create the aesthetic look and feel that you need for your business, not just to make it pretty, but also to make it very functional and make it easy to teach your team what they need to do in their day-to-day process. Okay, so benefits of Canvas, brand identity. And the ones I'll show you, you see there's branding on there. You can change the colors, you can put your logo on. It really can feel like it was just for you. Display optimization. It enhances user experience by positioning data in a meaningful way. We're going to show you how to lay the Canvas design out to make your team able to use the system easily, know where to go, what fields to do, what steps they've got to take. Canvas design can really help that, which means it makes the system user-friendly. Okay, so if you think software is complicated, or you bring somebody to your team that you say is not sort of a little bit technophobe, doesn't matter. You can use the Canvas designs to make it easier for them to use the system. Intuitive icons, tooltips, and forms, Canvas forms, which are quite new, that were introduced last year, they're also really powerful to make it easy for your team to know what to do. So we're going to look at all of those examples. Okay, so types of Canvas. There are 3 Canvas designs we're going to focus on. We're going to look at list views. List views are part of the Canvas family now, but they have actually been around for years. So if you've played with list views before, obviously Canvas is a new style of them, okay, then they're great for looking at your records. You're looking at your pipelines. We're really going to go into detailed views and form views and spend quite a bit of time in this area. Once you know how to do one, you know how to do them all. Okay, so you can do list views, detailed views, form views. You just need to learn how to do one. So it'll make it easier to update your customer and business information on both computers and also mobile devices. And we're going to look at the form view, which is the new one that came out last year, which makes it really easy to create and edit records. Okay, so moving on. Exploring Canvas features, so we can look at the colors, the styles, adding your logos, design and navigation tools, positioning buttons and widgets, adding sections and headers, okay, adding fields, adding icons, using tables. Some of this stuff's really easy. So a lot of what I'll talk to you about is around the methodology of actually how you execute it. That's what's important here. Most people that I meet have had a play around with Canvas designs, and they've got, you know, it looks like sometimes something out of kindergarten. There's so many colors and things, it's all over the place. And, you know, they go to a different module and it looks like something completely different again. So methodology and strategy, I'm really going to give you some guidance on that. I hope that you'll take away from the session, what will show you how to execute it across the entire system for your business. Okay, you want it to blend. So wherever you go, whether you're looking at a lead or a contact or an invoice, you want it to feel like it is flowing from one end to the other. So reusable layouts, reusable components, conditional styling and presets, copying styles, locking sections, using templates, Canvas assignments, scripts and queries. All these are the things that are going to make it easier for you to use it. So we'll focus a lot around methodology. I'm going to go to our, what I call our Builders Excellence environment, which is one of our verticals for construction. Okay, so all the data that we're going to use in here is actually going to be test data. Okay. Okay, so there's no real client data in here, guys. Okay, it's all test information or demonstration information. Okay, so we're going to pop up here into settings first of all and see where Canvas are. So up here into settings, here's your settings menu, and this one with a nice glittery stars showing there's a new feature, that's Canvas. Okay, so we jump into here. You've got the 3 Canvas views at the top that we talked about at the beginning. So your list view, your detailed view, and form view. I'm going to start with my favorite, which is the detailed view. Now, the detailed view is your modules, okay, looking at actual module records. You can see here in this one, we have a lot. There's more pagination down here. Okay, but there's quite a few actually in here. And you've got both mobile and web version, sorry, and mobile. So web is obviously your desktop, and mobile is the mobile app, which is really cool now because now you can design your own mobile version as well. Okay, so we still use a lot on the web version, but I'll just open up a mobile version so you can see it, and then we're going to jump to the desktop version. That load. Okay, and this is what the Canvas editor looks like. Okay, so, and that's the mobile layout. Okay, so if we go to the web view now, okay, I'm going to pick one of my favorites modules, which is the sales module. I jump into this one and let that load up, and you're going to see that the left-hand side of the Canvas view is identical. Okay, whether you're on the mobile view, okay, what it looks like there. Here we go. And if we go back to the desktop view, and let that open up. Okay, and we can see it here as well. Okay, so once you actually learn one of them, you can actually learn all of them. Now, I'm also going to, just bear with me one moment. I want to open up an actual module record. There is a preview function, okay, within the Canvas design. Okay, but I'm going to show you in the actual module records as well. So here we go. So here's a Canvas design that I've actually built earlier. Okay, so there's a lot of things in this left-hand navigation. So first of all, we've got data at the top. So data is the information from your module. Now, if it looks overwhelming, what I'm just going to quickly do is open up an inquiry record. Here we go. Let's just bring that up over here. So this is what it looks like when you're using it. Now, if that all looks completely different to Zoho and you don't recognize it, we're going to scroll down to the bottom here and I'm going to switch it back to standard. So this is what you're probably used to seeing if you don't work with Canvas designs. So this is the normal Zoho module layout. Now, if you're used to working with this, if you got to the point where you add fields, you customize these modules, this is a custom module, which means there's been lots of fields added to manage a sales process. So you can see there, if I scroll down, it's all very useful information. All that data is needed, but it's a lot of information. So if you're trying to train somebody to go in and fill in certain dates and you're not using blueprints to do it for you, then you're teaching somebody where to find that field. And a lot of people end up using Control F, to find fields, which, is not ideal. So that's the same module. But if I apply that same module now with a Canvas design and jump up here, bring it up, and that's exactly the same module now in a Canvas design. So the goal with Canvas is really to eliminate scrolling. That's the way that I see it, is how do I fit the same amount of information, okay, without having to scroll down the page. So I do that with the navigation. Okay, so I've got horizontal and vertical navigations. If I come down here, this particular one, remember this is construction, I can see property details, I can see the discovery, I can see the preliminary details, I can see here navigate down, and then I've got another sub-navigation here going across the top about the proposal, looking at the estimate information. So you've got both vertical and you've got horizontal. So I've eliminated the scrolling, but it's easy to find the information because they just need to learn this. Now, if you like the menu that standard has, because you can see all the related records on a standard view down the left-hand side, that's what this related records tab is here. So it's just another navigation, and I can still see the number of the records. I can click on that row and see this. You can change this from what this is called a table view. You could change that to actually another Canvas view, okay, in a list view. So you can make more information appear on here, photos, images of people, businesses. So there's much more that you can do here as well. So the navigation here, navigation across top, sub-navigations, vertical navigations means I don't have to scroll, and it's really easy to find the information. And you'll see here I'm using blueprints. I don't know if anybody here is using blueprints, but the blueprints also embedded into the Canvas design. Talk to you a little bit about strategy. You'll notice over here, I've got a panel, okay? And if I'm looking at an invoice canvas, we'll jump into one of those later, this here actually would be all the invoice information. So the purpose about this side panel when we're doing our designs is it doesn't matter where I'm clicking, I still want to be able to see the customer or the business information. Okay, so from a strategy perspective with the design, the side panel is about what do I need to see all the time, no matter where I go in the record, what do I need to see? And the black bar across the top here is very much about, well, I always want to see the record name. The record name is important. So no matter where I go, I'm using the black bar across the top. My buttons. In a standard view, you've got to go to the ellipsis, like these three dots, and find all your buttons. Your widget buttons or your clone button. Okay, I don't need to do that. I can actually position the buttons, but I can also position the buttons in terms of, well, where's the process that I'd want to use those buttons? Zoho sign under the proposal, mail merge, under the proposal. So I can position the buttons where they're most relevant to help the users understand where to go. So that's the kind of look and feel concept of the Canvas design. Now, before we jump in, I'll show you how to design a Canvas. I just want to jump into the invoice module because the thing with Canvas is Zoho covers so many different modules, but each module has its own purpose. So how do you create a design that you can actually use across your entire system? So if we go to an invoice now, okay, very different to a sales inquiry in terms of the data that you'd want to display. Okay, here we can see an invoice design. So now, rather than seeing the contact information, the priority at this point is I want to see the financial details. So again, wherever I click, I've got the financial information that I would want to see here. and I've got the related records. Now, the thing that we took on board when we were learning Canvas designs, and like I say, this was our 4th design, plus we worked with Zoho from when they first launched them to bring in different features to help us get to the optimal result. But what we wanted to achieve is it didn't matter what module we went into, it blended. So we were able to go from one module to the next and still feel like we were sitting in the same software application. Didn't feel like we were sitting in Zoho. It felt like we were sitting in our own software, our own business application with all the power of Zoho behind it. So to do that, we looked very much around the navigation style. So a module contains fields. So in our design with the navigation, we said, right, if we break Zoho down, it's modules, it's related records, it's activities, emails, attachments, tasks, and it's all the internal things that we don't really need to worry about, including things like the timeline, history. So we went, doesn't matter what module we go to, we always have those 4 tabs. Sometimes we have a Zoho one at the end as well, which is all the Zoho apps like Social or Desk integrated. Okay, so every module we went to into the invoices, it's the fields, it's the related records, it's the activity, and it's the internal. So now you've got consistency with your design, which makes it easier for people to learn how to navigate it because they need to learn how to navigate it in one. Am I audible? Can everyone hear me okay still? In that message, but it might be an old one. The audio okay, guys? Can you all hear me? Fantastic. Okay. So getting that navigation right will enable you to scale. Work on that first module, get the design right. Think about where you do and don't need to use a side panel and consider that with your design. Use something like a bar here that you repeat across the tabs. So that's the information that needs to stay there, things like the record name. Okay, and that will help you get a long way in terms of your designs. Okay, so even in activities here, you want people to see the activities. I've still got the open and close, but they can just see those open ones. Okay, so there's some other powerful things you can do here around things like your queries. You know, queries in Canvas design, we won't get into depth on that one today, but let's say, for example, you wanted them to see just certain records or just certain fields. You can use quick scripts and queries to do that, okay, in Canvas. So I'll show you in a moment where that is. Okay, so that's the concept of a Canvas design, how it lays out. I'm going to show you forms as well, because forms are really powerful. But before I do that, let's go and have a look at how we set this one up. So again, just to confirm, into settings in the top corner here. Okay, under here, customization, go to Canvas, go to detailed view. Okay, and here it is. Okay, now in your detailed view, you see here I've got the ability to import a Canvas. So as I said, I'm very happy to send anybody these Canvas templates. So if you want to import them, you can come in here. I'll give you a key. You can put that key in and you'll have our Canvas design already there. And then you can just change it from there and choose your own colors and logo and adapt it. But it will give you a really good head start. Okay, so just reach out at the end. Okay, and here, once you've got your Canvas, you see you can export as well, which means that once you've created a Canvas for one module, you can actually export that and then load it into all your other modules. Okay, so you don't have to build it in every single module. Okay, so let's go to the let's go into the Canvas for the inquiries, the one we were in. I've got it open here still. Let's have a look. Here we go. So here it is. So Canvas navigation. So once you put your navigation in, these tabs down here. So see here we've got tab views. So for example, if I clicked on this little plus button up here, I could add a new tab in, and now I've got another tab. Okay, so I could click on that and say, okay, then I want to call this tab, whatever I want to call it, and there it is. Okay, and then I can start putting fields and sections in. If I wanted a sub-navigation tab, I could pop down here, put another navigation tab in, because maybe under this one, I want to have more navigation. Okay, you can also put in here if you wanted to records. So you could add sections in here if you wanted to for fields. Let's just drag that down. Okay, and we're going to come into the elements here, and we're going to grab a section and pop a section in. Okay, and we can change the size of these, and we'll do here's one I prepared earlier, moment in a minute. We can put a section in like this, And then if we go to data up here, there's all your fields, and you can start dragging your fields across that you want into those sections. If you wanted to see something like, oh, I want to see the list of quotations that I've got, well, if you come into this plus, you don't have to choose sections, you can choose related records. So I could say, hey, I want to grab related records and put those here. You know, I want to display the, let's have a look, the contacts associated, contracts I will do, okay, contracts in here. So you can actually choose the related lists here as well, or you can choose sections and just lay out your fields. So going to the one I prepared earlier scenario, remember I said our red tabs at the beginning are always our fields. Our related records here, okay, is always our records. Okay, so we keep it nice and easy. And you can do sub-navigations when you're playing around with these as well. You know, there is the ability also to put in sub-navigations so you can do menus under menus. Okay, so here you can change your navigation. So if I come back into this one here, and I said, oh, I don't actually want that to be horizontal. Let's go vertical. We can just change it here to the vertical menu. Okay, we can go bottom, we can go right side, do whichever navigation works for you. Once you've got the position of things, now I believe in an outside-in approach. So start with the outside and the layout. Okay, get your navigation right first. Okay, and then think about the information that you want to display under those relevant sections. Now, if anybody's played with Canvas for Use before, okay, one of my rules of thumb is, this is from earlier demo, here we go. My rule of thumb is avoid scroll bars. So when you save this, if you put too much information in, or if you go too close to the edge, you'll end up inside these little boxes having a scroll bar. And then it makes the canvas look a little bit ugly if anybody's had that experience. Okay, so scroll bars appear. So you can see in mine, I don't have any. I have no scroll bars. Okay, we spend a lot of time. There's one on this because there's more columns. So that has a scroll bar. Okay, but if you find when you're designing it, these boxes all have scroll bars in them, which doesn't make it look very pretty, either vertical or horizontal. The way to get around that is go to your box and make sure your fields and your sections don't go all the way to the edge. Give a little bit of space. And I say normally about this. I wouldn't go beyond that amount of space to the edge. So position your fields. Okay, take them out, but leave yourself about that much space to the edge. And the most important thing is right click and lock when you've finished. Okay, so you see these little black tabs, they are all locked sections. So that means that they're still fluid because you can have what we call fluid and fixed. So if I right click, this one's actually fluid. I've just changed it to fix. You can see there it's fluid. So fluid means that if I'm working from my laptop, I want it to be able to contract and I want it to be able to expand based on how much room I've actually got, but I want it to be fixed, okay, which means it locks everything to that section, which means you're not going to get those ugly scroll bars because on here you can end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scroll bars. Wouldn't look very pretty. So the key is don't go right to the edge. You're okay. You've got a bit more maneuver on the left-hand side. Okay, don't go quite to the edge. Leave this much space. Right click and lock. Okay, make sure before you save, you go through every section and lock it. Now, if you look here, I've got sections, I've got submenus, I've got main menus. So if you look at the edge of each section, I've got roughly the same amount of padding. Okay, and that's to make sure no scroll bars actually appear. Okay. You can also go down. So if I go into activities for a moment in here, and we'll look at notes. If you see here, I've scrolled down to about there. And I have a corner to corner rule. Okay, I would say to my team, go corner to corner to make sure you've got about the same amount of space. And I generally come down here to about 1200. Okay, and that means I've got a bit of room for enough records. Okay, enough records, but I haven't created this big long page. So just watch out for that because when you do add a section on, I just unlock that. Okay, let's just unlock this one a second. Click on the little black things just to unlock them. And once you've unlocked them, you can then basically maneuver everything around. Sometimes it's grabbing it. There we go. So when you add these sections, they generally tend to be about, just grab that again. Doesn't want to play ball with me tonight. There we go. Okay, so they generally come in about this size. Okay, and you'll find that a bit frustrating because then you'll get a scroll bar and you've got to keep going down. So just bring it down a little bit, bring the outside one down a little bit. Generally, I tend to go for this bottom one at around about 1200. The next level, then I don't quite go as low as that. Give myself some space, right click, lock it. You've now got it into position. Okay, and things won't move around. Okay, keep saving. Save as you go, guys. Okay, it's really important because sometimes it can be really easy to knock these off. And if you do knock those off by accident, don't worry, just use the back button to go back. Or if you've saved regularly, obviously you can refresh as well, okay, to put it back. Okay, so in here, I think I've done something wrong, didn't like that. So we'll just kind of refresh because we didn't save. Okay, and just to bring that back. So keep saving. And if you're experimenting, if you get your canvas design to a certain point and you go, I don't really want to play around with it too much, or you've got a nice one and then you want to make some amendments, you can see down the bottom you can have multiple. So clone it first. Before you make the changes, if I come into the detail here and go back to the inquiries, you can come in here saying clone it. So copy it before you make the changes, just in case you do something wrong, you've still got your backup. Okay. Okay, so we've got coming back across, we're going to click on the navigation, come back over here to style. So you've got data at the top. Data is being able to position your fields and you can put them wherever you want. Just 1 second. Okay, so you can put your fields wherever you want, okay, and drag them around. Now, if you find them hard to position, use control and arrows, okay, to move these fields around in little small movements. Control and arrows will help you just to get those fields to exactly where you want them to be positioned. Once you've got your fields where you want it, you can come across the styles here and you can do things like change, okay, I'm going to change my font. You know, I'm going to maybe make my font a different color. So click on my font here. You know, let's make that orange, you know, so you can change your styles, your fonts, your colors. You can say, well, maybe I don't need to see the label on this one. So just right click and explore. And don't forget, save as you're going. And don't forget, you can ask us for a template. And you might go, oh, I don't need the label on that one. I'll hide it. If you want to copy that to other fields, okay, you don't have to go through all these settings again. You can either add that to your presets like this. Okay, now if I click on another field, I can come up here to presets, and that's where it is. Click on that, and you see it's got that same style and font. Again, I can choose to hide my label. If you don't want to use presets because it's just the occasional field, so I'm going to correct these back now to what I had before. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to come this way. So I don't want to use presets. The add to presets is like saving a template of a field or a section. I'm actually going to go copy the style here. Okay, and I'm going to come to this one here. I'm going to show the label again. Okay, and then I'm going to go paste style here. And there we go. We're back to actually what we had. So we can copy the individual fields, but if it's something you do on a regular basis, you can add to presets, and all your different presets and styles and designs are then down here, so you can apply them also then to the new fields. Okay, now what I like to do in terms of methodology again is look very much about consistency in my layout. So I always say to the team, blue is a link. Blue is always a link. So when I'm looking at a record here, you'll see there, these are all related records. Okay, so if I click on them, I can go to those records as well and look at that information. There we go. This is another little feature within Canvas Designs. Okay, so these ones here, if you like to see key dates, etc. in yours, I can pop dates in and notice how that goes green. Okay, pop dates in, the next one goes green. That's just using Canvas Designs. So that's using conditional styling that says, okay, then if I change something, can I make it change color? So that's just another click, and there's a nice right-hand navigation again with the different sections. So some clever things that you can do. Okay, so when you're working on your layouts, let's just go back to my canvas. There it is. Okay, do things like, I'm going to make all the links blue or whatever color you want to choose so that it's consistent for your team. Wherever they go, they know then that field is going to be a link. Remember I said earlier, the side panels here. So something to bear in mind is once you put your fields into position, you can grab those fields and you can move them around anywhere. Not a problem. What you can't do, okay, is grab a whole section and move it outside. You're stuck within the framework of that section that you're in. So just bear that in mind, okay? Go outside in with your design, okay? Start outside in, then put your fields in, because you can move them around, but it just takes a little bit of time, okay? So work out what you want in those individual sections. Don't make your fonts too big. Think about your fonts. If I go back to those record names in here, okay, you see there's an example of one where I've put a scroll bar in. Don't really want that scroll bar. So if I change this field and bring it out, it will remove my scroll bar and then I can lock that. Okay, so that's where you want to lock, change, and lock to get rid of. Don't go right to the edge. Okay, right click and then lock it to get the result that you want. Okay, so over here, if I go to the navigation, you want to color your navigation. If I click on this here, we're going to look at the styles of it. So we've looked at data. Data is bringing fields across. Buttons, this comments button or this cancel button, they're all under the data as well. If you just scroll down, in fact, let's close that up, make it a little bit easier. We've got fields, we've got the related lists, okay, and then you've got all your actions. So as I mentioned, 3 dots here is what you might be used to doing and teaching people. Go look for this button under the ellipsis. Okay, the great thing about Canvas designs is you can grab any of those buttons, position them exactly where you want, and then if you've set up your presets, go to your presets and choose your button like this. Okay, so, and now it's all colored and then ready for where you want it. Now you'll notice in my Canvas designs here, these buttons here, and I'll just choose a couple of Canvas records to go into to show you. Here we go, and you'll notice on this one, okay, it's also at 100%, so you can see it nicely. Okay, it is also exactly the same. Okay, so whatever record I go to, this top section with the logo and everything else is the same. So to make that happen and to make it consistent, okay, I'm using a reusable component. Okay, so once you've got everything the way you want it, and you can group it, you can right-click it on it, and then you can say, let me have a look, add to reusable components. Okay, so if you do that, your reusable components are over here on the left. Okay, so this I use for things like the black bar, because every module that I go into, if I'm not using a template, like I say, most time now I now use templates because it goes across every module. Okay, but if I do want to change something and build it out, I can just set that menu as a reusable component. There it is there, bring it across. Okay, and there it drops it straight in with everything into position, which means I'm not trying to go, oh, I want these buttons here to be positioned here, and I can group them, set them up, group them, and take that section and just add it to my reusable components. Okay, and you know, you can only have, I think the number's just gone up, how many reusable components that you can actually have. Okay, but if you just want to get rid of one, you can replace it with another to make it easy for you to adapt and use the ones that you need to focus on. Okay, you've also got in here, if we go back to styles then, styles is all your colors and your fonts. So if I click on the navigation here, okay, you can see there, I've got the background, I've got the border, and across the top here, you've also got your normal, your active, and your hover. Okay, so as I'm going across my navigations here, you can see they're changing. Okay, so that's just using the colors. And there's an example of the sub-navigation as well. So I can keep those records grouped together. Okay, so again, back into your canvas, over here, into your styles, just play around with them. That's the best thing. If you've done anything like this, worked in a Word document, it's really no different. I always say, just play, have a look, clone your canvas so you don't refresh and go back if you don't like it. Okay, and just play around, save it, have a look at it and see if it works. The things that you really want to work out is, what does your navigation look like? Okay, get that header section, put it into a reusable component so that you can reuse it. Think about your side panels with particular modules and what would you want to see no matter where you go. So if you're in a record, you know, is there a section of your record that you want to consistently see? Okay, and you can design that out. Okay, so come back to there. Okay, think about your sections, your colors, your fonts and your fields and positions is really the last part. Go out in, get your navigation, get your layout, get your side panel, then play around with all your fields and put all your fields into position and then put all your buttons into position. So that's Canvas. Queries and client scripts over here are really advanced, but they're very clever. So example of like client script is if you had your marketing team going in and doing something, you said, hey, I just want them to see these key dates. You could have a button, they click on that and it would highlight those fields for them. Okay, like I say, you've also got conditional formatting. So if we right click on this field, let's go to the jobs one. We'll come out of here where we do those color buttons so you can actually see it. So these buttons here. Okay, so if we come into here, we'll go jobs. Okay, into this one. Now you'll notice as well in there, I've got two designs. Okay, so I'm actually using a rule that says on a different layout. So where you would, if you're not familiar with layouts, is under your modules here, you can create different versions of a module. You might do that for something like brands. You might say, hey, with this brand, I need this layout. With this brand, I need this layout. This job, this module in particular is actually for a construction company. Okay, and that's talking about a new build property, but construction companies do renovations, and a renovation wouldn't have base slab framing. So therefore, based on the type of construction, okay, it has to actually change the layout so it becomes more intuitive based on those circumstances. Okay, so that's why in the canvas here, we have one with a side panel, so with those buttons, those red pieces, and one basically without. And then based on the type of deal, the type of job that's going in, this is the deals module for you guys, if you're familiar with deals, okay, based on the type of record that's actually going in, it automatically knows which canvas to use. So how it does that is the canvas designs are actually assigned to a layout of the module. Okay, so we have two layouts of the module. That layout gets updated using a workflow rule, okay, and there the canvas design gets associated with the layout. So therefore, when they go in, based on the type of construction, the right canvas design comes up. So if you have that with brands, it's powerful because you can have something like the deals module coming in and it would give you for brand A and all the colors would actually change, or it could be with brand B, you know, and have a completely different start again. So canvas designs, you can create multiple versions of them, okay, for each of your, for different scenarios. Okay, so this one's a type of construction. So over here, if I look at this section here, you'll see at the top here, it's saying default and scheduled. So if I can right click on that button, you've got a feature here called conditional styling. So if I click on conditional styling, it's a little bit like layout rules, but it's not layout rules, but very similar concept. So I can create a canvas rule in here, okay, and I can say, right, based on this scenario, that I've got, okay, so in this one, it would be the scheduled date. Okay, so I say job scheduled, and I would say is empty. Okay, so if the scheduled date is empty, then I want it to be red, but if the scheduled date has a date in it, I want it to be green. Okay, so I put the layout rule in, and then it allows me up here, what do you want to do? You can also use it like layout rules to hide and show. So you can say, okay, if it's scheduled, I'm going to hide it. Okay, you can see that it blurs out. Okay, but if it's completed, I'm going to show it. Okay, so you choose what it is that you're looking for, right click. Okay, set on here again, click on conditional styling. Okay, choose your rule that you're going to actually put in, create a canvas view. Here's all the ones that we already have in there. Okay, and then it will put that rule in. Then over here, just look on this side, your default, if the rule basically doesn't apply, and then what happens if the rule does apply, and then change your styles down here based on those rules. Okay, so that's a really nice little trick that you can also do with the canvas designs. Okay, so I want to jump quickly before we run out of time into forms, because the form canvas came out last year, and this was really powerful. Just before I do jump to that, just for a split second, in the mobile I mentioned earlier on, here's an example of a mobile view, okay, for jobs. So this is great because you can now create your own layouts and designs as well and do your navigations. And if you know how, if you could follow what I was talking about in the last version here, It's no different for the mobile version, it's just smaller. Okay, and that's exactly the same also for the list views. If anyone's familiar with list views and you want to create list views, again, if you can follow what I went through for the detailed view, and I like that one because there's lots of space to work with to show all the different things that you would use, okay, then you can use exactly the same features within the list view. Let that open up. Good. Okay, so you can do list view as well. Okay, now I'm going to just jump now into a form view. Okay, now bear with me. I'm going to take you here to a company over in America that I set this one up for. Let me just bring this one over. Okay, so this client is a manufacturing company. They have about 500,000 products in their system that they sell. Okay, so there's a lot of information. They manufacture the products, they purchase the products, they buy the products, they do them secondhand, they do them brand new. So there's a lot of information contained in their products module. When their team are putting products in, like a secondhand product they're going to be selling, you can see here there's a lot of fields that they would need to complete. Okay, so it takes a long time to train somebody to understand what those fields are and when to fill them in. Now, if we just jump into one here, okay, you can see again, consistent layout with the products. But still, even in the canvas, some of those fields are automated through workflows and automations. So if they were training them at this, they can click on the little edit and fill them in. But what they wouldn't know is, am I supposed to fill it in? Or how am I supposed to fill it in? So in the canvas view, if I go to the edit button here, I'm now using a form canvas view. Okay, so again, it's the same. If we just pop this over here for a second, this is this canvas view up here. Okay, form view. Okay, and if I click on that, you can see again, if you know how to do a detailed view, which is the layout of your module, you can also do the form view, okay, which is the editing version of the module. Okay, so again, exactly the same concept sitting behind it. Okay, but here, the layout's very, very different because I don't need to see activities. I don't need to see internal. I don't need to see related records. I just need to see the information that somebody needs to complete. So here it is in this live form, the information that somebody needs to complete. And the great thing about the edit view, because it's separated from the normal view, is I can put instructions on and I can give those instructions, okay, different color text so that team members can see very clearly, that this is an instruction. Okay, we can add, don't forget, you've got icons as well, and you can add to these. You can also clone things, copy them and clone them. I use that a lot with the titles. So this customer discounts, okay, every time I'm using that particular font, I clone it, okay, for the next section. And then I'll drag that up and just change the header. So cloning is a nice little tool as well. So the field view, the form view is great because with the form view, I can basically leave off all the fields that are automated. So when I'm up here putting my fields in, I don't put any fields in that are about automations like formula fields or fields updated through workflow rules or updated through widgets. I'm just focusing on the fields that somebody needs to complete, and there's a nice little instruction for them. So when they go into a product and they click on edit, this is what they would then see. Okay, so I can group it completely differently and give them a nice intuitive way to know exactly how to enter that record. Okay, so form views work incredibly well for that. If anybody's using canvas designs, okay, widgets, sorry, I beg your pardon. If anyone's using widgets, so this client has a widget, you can embed those into a canvas design. So I click on here, there's their product order form. As I mentioned, they've got 500,000 products. So, their widgets have to have special features and searches and everything else. Widgets accomplish that, and you can also embed your widgets into your canvas design, which makes it very, very powerful. So we've gone through, okay, we've looked at, let's bring up my other version again in a moment. Okay, so we've looked at into settings, sorry, jumping around, into settings up here. Okay, we have looked at canvas designs here. Okay, list view, detailed view, form view. Under the detailed view, you've got the web version, you've got the mobile version, Okay, I suggest starting with your web, ability to clone it. Okay, you can import again up here. You can request all my Canvas designs off me if you want to take one of ours and have a play with it. Import it. You can export it when you've done it, so you can import it to your other modules. So focus on one module at a time, okay, into the editing of that Canvas view. And then you've got at the top all the buttons on the left-hand side that you want to position up here. So under data, okay, you've got your fields, you've got your buttons, you've got your related lists. Okay, under your elements, you've got your sections. Don't forget with your sections, everything in navigation. If you're not sure, just right click, lock. Okay, that's those little black boxes. Don't go too close to the edge. Okay, lock. Make sure you go down, probably about 1200 down, and then lock. Okay. You can put in under your elements, you've got table views. I'll just quickly show you this. Over here on this one, okay, you'll see I want to use under the financial details, all my currencies to be right justified and my titles to be left justified. I just want them nicely positioned. So in there under elements, I'm actually using a table. Okay, so putting a table in, I can right click, choose my field, like the unit cost, pop that in, and there's my unit cost, and then just keep adding. I can change the height of that. I can, change the width and of each of those columns, and to get exactly what I want. And then I can copy the style as well. So I'm using bold on this one. Okay, so, and then if I wanted bold on this one, if I take it off, I'll go copy style again. I want to take it off total paste and total price, paste it off, take it off. Okay, so table views as well. Okay, under elements are really good for accomplishing this result. You can still see your tooltips, but it really does keep that really consistent spacing and also the left and right justified without you dragging individual fields around trying to do that. Okay, so you've got your images, etc. Lots of little things, just play around, drag them across, see how they work. Style anything, always use your presets or copy your styles, even your boxes. If you like this blue box, for example, that'll be set up there as a preset as well. So right click, add to presets, and then when you click on something else, there it is again. So if I want it yellow, I could make it yellow. Okay, so you can play around with those different presets. Your colors, your radius, your fonts, your reusable components are the sections that you get right that you're really happy with, and then put those under the reusable. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything off. I don't know whether anybody has any questions. How to make a canvas. So just come into your canvas up here, go to whichever one it is that you want to actually make. Okay, you can also, by the way, I forgot to mention, assign canvas here. Otherwise, just click on the blue button, choose your module, choose your layout, click on create, and that's it. And then that will create the record down here, and then you can just go straight in and actually edit it. There we go, takes you straight in, and then you can save it. Okay. Is this a doable professional version? I'm not quite sure what that question means, doable professional version. Are you referring to the copying of the templates? Or can you elaborate a little bit on that question? Professional edition. So I think Zoho's answered that one. Can we get a blank canvas again, please? Just a bit slower. Just get a blank canvas. Okay, so if you wanted to start with a blank one, just go into detailed view up here, click on the blue button, okay, and select your module, choose your module layout because you can have different ones, and just click on create. Okay, so that's how we'll create it. Different screen resolutions. The screen resolutions really come down to how you've set up your canvas design. Okay, so if we just come back into here for a moment and come back to that thing about locking the sections. If you set up your sections and you set them up as fluid is the best way. Okay, so most of my sections in here are set to fluid. See, that says it's not fixed. So if I come back in, it's set for fluid. okay, and I've locked them. So if you do that, whether I'm working on my mobile, working on an iPad on the web version, whether I'm on my laptop, whether I'm on my desktop, it is responsive and it contracts and expands in size. Okay, so keep it fluid, but make sure you lock and make sure you don't go too close to the right-hand side of the edges, just to give yourself space to avoid those scroll bars. Okay. Where is the canvas designs in the new UI? Okay, so if you're referring to the Zoho one down here, you'd be in the CRM and it still sits under the settings. So you can see there it's sitting under the settings. Okay, so just find the settings menu wherever you are, okay, and you'll see them under the customization section. How's canvas design different from blueprints? Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I am an absolute lover of blueprints. Okay, so this is a blueprint. You can see here I have blueprints for absolutely everything. A blueprint is about a process. Okay, so in the canvas designs, I just go back to an inquiry. If I got one open here, which uses our blueprints. Let's see if I've got one open. Let's go into one. Okay, so a blueprint is about your process. It's about transitioning your team, okay, through a sales process and telling them what fields to complete, okay, but you still have your blueprint working, with your canvas design. Okay, so if I have blueprint buttons here, you can see it's embedded in, and based on where it is in the process, it can take you to the next step. Okay, and the power of blueprints and what they actually do, you see there the buttons change. Okay, is they can run automations behind them to do anything from creating quotes to invoices to sending out emails. So blueprints are about process. Canvas design is about the interface. You embed your blueprint within your canvas. The canvas option in Zoho CRM? Yeah, absolutely. So we are in Zoho CRM. Is canvas is under setup and customization CRM. Sorry, we didn't see the end of the create blank template. Create blank template, just a lag in the screen. So we jump to the next question. Okay, sorry. So I'm not sure if you got that. Into settings up here. Okay, there's all your modules. We're going to come down here to canvas and do that nice and slow. Okay, and we're going to go into the detailed view, if that's what you want to do, whatever view you want, form or detailed, into the blue button. Generally, Zoho has these blue buttons for create. So if you click on that, you can then pick your module, pick your layout, and then click on create, and that will take you to the blank canvas. How does it compare to the traditional UI customization options? Okay. So modules themselves, if you come into them, if I come into the inquiries module here, okay, and you see there you've got layouts and layout rules, okay, and if we go into that, okay, the canvas is still using your modules, okay, but in the traditional, you could only move the fields around, so it didn't eliminate the problem with scrolling, whereas Canvas Designs eliminates the problem with scrolling. Okay, so this is traditional. So you can still move fields around, okay, but what you couldn't do is you could only do 2 columns and you still had to scroll from top to bottom. So you could still use layout rules to make fields hide, but Canvas View is just on steroids. It's a completely different level. If you can't see it, maybe talk to your administrator, okay, as to why you can't see that, okay, in terms of the permissions, because you'll have access, okay, under here, it will be sitting there. So if you can't see it, talk to your system admin, just make sure you don't have one of the permissions turned off. Okay, I didn't mention earlier on a little bit about the Canvas assignment up here. Okay, so you can also have different layouts for different team members, and then based on their roles, okay, you can decide which Canvas views that they get to use. How is a Canvas view different from a widget? Oh, that's another one of my favorites. So again, I love widgets. Widgets are coded by developers. So the beauty about Canvas designs, it's really about knowledge of your business, and anybody can go in and do them. So widgets are down here in the developer space. You know, our team build hundreds of widgets. You know, the widgets bring a process together. They run automations. That's the best way to explain them. So this is a widget, okay? So this is a pipeline widget, so I can see sales and I can put comments in and I can do filters. So the purpose behind a widget is the processes that brings together, and widgets can pull data in from multiple modules, but ultimately the data sits under a record. So as soon as we open up the widget and go to the particular record, we're then using the Canvas design to see that record information. So for me, widgets are about process, okay, in terms of automations. Okay, blueprints are about direction in the process when you're teaching your team what to do next. Okay, whereas widgets more about giving you functionality behind clicks and buttons. Blueprints is really about the layout of your records, okay, and making that layout very, very optimal. Okay, widgets take a lot of coding. You know, if you're doing a really good widget, you know, this one in particular, for example, has about 15,000 lines of code. Okay, you don't have to be a developer to build a Canvas view. That's the power of Canvas. For desktop, I would like to have it on a mobile. Do you need to build it from scratch again, or can you clone it? No, I think you have to build it again. I can't say I've actually tested, because I can't see how you could take a Canvas design due to the dimensions and import it into a mobile. I haven't tried it, but I've made the assumption there that it would be impossible to do, because obviously in the mobile version that I showed earlier, the dimensions are incredibly different. Okay, but you can take a Canvas template from one module and import it into another module. Okay, so you can replicate your navigation structure. If you can't see anything in your detailed view, then it's likely because you just don't have anything set up. So if you're in your Canvas here and under detailed view, form view, if I go in here, it's just one. So if it's looking empty, probably just need to create your first one. Okay, I only see these ones because these are the ones that we've already built.